Okay. Good morning to all. Respected Principal Sir, respected Vice Principal Dr. Rita Borkotoki Ma'am, Honorable Resource Person.
म्यूट हो गल अपनी म्यूट हो गल
Roundu, your sound is not coming.
Okay, sir. Now, am I audible?
Yes, now you are audible.
Okay. Good morning to all. Respected Principal Sir, respected Vice Principal Dr. Rita Borkotoki Ma'am, Honorable Resource Person Dr. Dolomani Goswami Sir, my esteemed colleagues and dear participants, friends, I, Dr. Rantu Gohai, on behalf of the Department of Education and IQSC Sipsago Girls College, welcome you all to the lecture program on a very vital topic, that is new education policy. We'd like to inaugurate the program formally. For that, I request Dr. Budhin Mishra sir to inaugurate the program by delivering his inaugural speech. So I request Mishra sir to inaugurate the program, and over to Mishra sir.
ধন্যবাদ সুন্দর রাতিপুৱা আটাইকে আন্তৰিক শুভকামনা জনাই মই এই অনুষ্ঠানত উপস্থিত আমাৰ মাননীয় উপাধ্যক্ষা ডক্টৰ ৰীতা বৰকটকী ডাঙৰীয়ানী আজি এই বক্তৃতানুষ্ঠানৰ সমল বক্তা ডক্টৰ দুলুমণি গোস্বামী, মোৰ প্ৰিয় সহকৰ্মীসকল আৰু ছাত্ৰীসকল, শিৱসাগৰ ছোৱালী কলেজৰ শিক্ষা বিভাগে আভ্যন্তৰীণ মান নিৰূপণ সহযোগত ভাৰতবৰ্ষৰ নতুন শিক্ষা নীতিৰ ওপৰত আজি এটা অনুষ্ঠানৰ আয়োজন কৰিছে। ইতিমধ্যে যোৱা বছৰ ভাৰতৰ কেন্দ্ৰীয় চৰকাৰে এই শিক্ষানীতিটো গ্ৰহণ কৰিছে আৰু ইয়াক কাৰ্যকৰী কৰাৰ বিভিন্ন ব্যৱস্থা ইতিমধ্যে ঘোষণা কৰা হৈছে যদিও এই কোভিড পৰিস্থিতিত ই ঠিক সম্পূৰ্ণভাৱে কাৰ্যকৰীত হৈছে বুলি আমি ক'ব নোৱাৰোঁ। বাকী নহওক, বৰ্তমান পৰিস্থিতিত এই নতুন শিক্ষা নীতিয়ে আমাক কি দিব, আমি কি পাম, ইয়াৰ দ্বাৰা আমাৰ শৈক্ষিক বাতাবৰণ কি ধৰণে উপকৃত হ'ব, এই সকলোবিলাক কথা পুংখানুপুংখে আজিৰ এই আলোচনা চক্ৰটিত আমাৰ সমল ব্যক্তি ডক্টৰ দুলুমণি গোস্বামীয়ে ব্যাখ্যা কৰিব। আমি শিক্ষাৰ লগত জড়িত শিক্ষক, ছাত্ৰ, অভিভাৱক আৰু সমাজদাতাই এই বিষয়ে জনাটো অতি প্ৰয়োজনীয় আৰু মই আশা কৰিম যে এই বক্তৃতানুষ্ঠানে শিক্ষা সকলো ধৰণৰ সন্দেহ উদ্ভৱ হোৱা বিভিন্ন প্ৰশ্নৰ সদুত্তৰ দিব এই শিক্ষানীতি সম্পৰ্কে এটা সম্যক ধাৰণা কৰিবলৈ সক্ষম হ'ম। মই এই আলোচনা চক্ৰটি আমাৰ কলেজৰ শিক্ষা বিভাগক ধন্যবাদ জনাইছোঁ আৰু গুৱাহাটী বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ৰ শিক্ষা বিভাগৰ অধ্যাপক ডক্টৰ দুলুমণি গোস্বামীয়ে এই আলোচনা চক্ৰটিত মুখ্য সমল বক্তি হিচাপে অংশগ্ৰহণ কৰাত মই তেখেতলৈ আন্তৰিক অভিনন্দন জনাইছোঁ আৰু ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন কৰিছোঁ আৰু ইয়াৰ জৰিয়তে আজিৰ এই বক্তৃতানুষ্ঠানটো আনুষ্ঠানিকভাৱে মুকলি কৰা হ'ল বুলি ঘোষণা কৰিলোঁ ধন্যবাদ
ধন্যবাদ sir. Thank you very much for your inaugural speech and inaugurate the program formally by delivering a beautiful speech. So thank you very much. Now I request Dr. Rita Borkotogi ma'am to speak a few words and encourage us. Rita Borkotogi ma'am.
Thank you, Ramtu. শিৱসাগৰ ছোৱালী মহাবিদ্যালয়ৰ সন্মানীয় অধ্যক্ষ মহোদয়, আজিৰ এই বক্তৃতানুষ্ঠানৰ কমল ব্যক্তি ডক্টৰ দুলুমণি গোস্বামী ছাৰ, শিক্ষা বিভাগৰ সমূহ প্ৰবক্তা, IQAC কোষৰ IQAC কোঅৰ্ডিনেটৰ শ্ৰীমতী দীপজোনালী ভূঞা, সঞ্জয় দাস আৰু ডক্টৰ গীতাঞ্জলি কোঁৱৰ, মোৰ শ্ৰদ্ধাৰ সহকৰ্মীসকল আৰু আজি এই অনুষ্ঠানত অংশগ্ৰহণ কৰা মোৰ মৰমৰ ছাত্ৰীসকল, আজিৰ এই আলোচনাৰ বিষয় নিউ এডুকেশ্যন পলিচি ট্ৰান্সফৰ্মিং হায়াৰ এডুকেশ্যন চিনাৰিঅ'। এই আলোচনা আচলতে খুব সময়োপযোগী হৈছে আৰু আমি বহুদিনৰ পৰা ইয়াৰ বিষয়ে আলোচনা আমাৰ ছাত্ৰীসকলৰ আগবঢ়াম বুলি ভাবি আছিলোঁ আৰু শিক্ষা তত্ত্ব বিভাগে এই পদক্ষেপ লোৱাৰ বাবে সঁচাকৈ আমি তেওঁলোকক ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন কৰিছোঁ, লগতে IQACকো ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন কৰিছোঁ। এই নিউ এডুকেশ্যন পলিচি আজি বহু বছৰৰ মূৰত আমাৰ ভাৰতীয় শিক্ষা ব্যৱস্থাত এক আমূল পৰিৱৰ্তন আহিবলৈ গৈছে। এই বিষয়ে আমাৰ কমল ব্যক্তিয়ে বিতংভাৱে আলোচনা কৰিব। আমি আশা ৰাখিছোঁ এই শিক্ষানীতিয়ে আমাৰ ভাৰতবৰ্ষৰ শিক্ষা ব্যৱস্থাক বিশ্বৰ শিক্ষা ব্যৱস্থাৰ লগত ফেৰ মাৰিবলৈ সক্ষম হ'ব আৰু আমাৰ ছাত্ৰ ছাত্ৰীসকল উপকৃত হ'ব। এই বিষয়ে বিতং আলোচনা আগবঢ়াবৰ বাবে গুৱাহাটী বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ৰ শিক্ষা তত্ত্ব বিভাগৰ বিশিষ্ট শিক্ষাবিদ ডক্টৰ দুলুমণি গোস্বামীদেৱ আমাৰ মাজত আছে। মই ভাবোঁ যে আমাৰ ছাত্ৰীসকল যথেষ্ট সৌভাগ্যৱান, যিহেতু এনে এজন ব্যক্তিৰ পৰা আজি তেওঁলোকে নিউ এডুকেশ্যন পলিচিৰ বিষয়ে শুনিবলৈ পাব আৰু তেওঁলোকৰ মনত যদি কিবা শুধৰণি থাকে, কিবা প্ৰশ্ন থাকে, হয়তো তাৰ উত্তৰো ছাৰে আমাক দিব। অকল ছাত্ৰীসকলেই নহয়, আমি যদিও আজি অত বছৰ শিক্ষকতা কৰি আছোঁ, তথাপিও এই নতুন পলিচিখনৰ শিক্ষানীতিৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত আমিও সম্পূৰ্ণৰূপে মই ক'ব নোৱাৰোঁ যে মই সকলোখিনি কথা আয়ত্ব কৰিছোঁ। গতিকে আজিৰ এই অনুষ্ঠানে আমাকো যথেষ্ট পৰিমাণে উপকৃত কৰিব। গতিকে মই বৰ বেছি দীঘলকৈ নকওঁ। এই অনুষ্ঠান আয়োজন কৰাৰ বাবে পুনৰ মই শিক্ষা তত্ত্ব বিভাগ আৰু IQACলৈ ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন কৰিছোঁ। আৰু ডক্টৰ দুলুমণি গোস্বামীদেৱ, আমি ইতিমধ্যে গম পাইছোঁ যে তেখেত আমাৰ শিৱসাগৰৰ সুযোগ্য সন্তান। তেখেতে আমাৰ মহাবিদ্যালয়লৈ অহাৰ বাবে আমি তেখেতক ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন কৰিছোঁ আৰু এই মহাবিদ্যালয়লৈ আপোনাক আদৰণি জনাই মোৰ বক্তব্য সামৰণি মাৰিছোঁ। ধন্যবাদ। over to Ramtu.
বাইদেউ ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন কৰিছোঁ আপোনাৰ সুন্দৰ উৎসাহিত বক্তব্যৰ কাৰণে। আমি সকলোৱে যথেষ্ট উৎসাহিত হৈছোঁ। চ' থেংক ইউ ভেৰি মাছ মেম ফৰ ইয়ৰ এনকাৰেজিং স্পিচ। And now, without any delay, we are coming to our resource person, Dr. Dulomani Goswami sir. But before that, here is an announcement. That is, dear participants, I request you to not write anything in the chat box. If you have any query, please, you can interact with the resource person after the lecture program. We have 5 minutes interaction. We have 5 minutes interaction session. So if you have any query, so you can interact with him after the session. সকলোকে মই বিশেষকৈ ছাত্ৰীসকলকো কৈছোঁ যে তোমালোকৰ যদি কিবা জানিবলগীয়া থাকিব ছাৰৰ আজি বক্তৃতাৰ পৰা, গতিকে তোমালোকে এতিয়া চেট বক্সত একো লিখিব নালাগে। তাৰ পৰিৱৰ্তে শেষ হোৱাৰ পিছত ছাৰৰ বক্তৃতা শেষ হোৱাৰ পিছত আমি 5 মিনিট সময় ৰাখিছোঁ। সেই 5 মিনিট সময়তে আমি যিকোনো আমি জানি বুজি ল'ব পাৰিম so now I am coming to our resource person sir before starting his session I would like to introduce him before you Dr. Dulumani Goswami is a professor in the Department of Education Guwahati University. He joined in the department in 2005. Before that, he served as assistant professor in North Kamrup College, Borama College, and Nagaon Girls College from 1994 to 2004. His area of interest in research and training are higher education, adult and continuing education, educational management, and economics of education. He has more than 35 research publications in different reputed national and international journals, 24 book chapters, and authored 6 books. He has presented more than 27 research papers in national and international conferences. Dr. Goswami is an eminent writer in different newspapers and magazines also. As a dynamic research guide, he has produced 8 PhD scholars till now. Moreover, he has been invited as a resource person to 130 seminars, workshops, and training programs. So that's all. Now I request Dr. Goswami sir to start his session. So over to Goswami sir.
Okay. So thank you. Thank you everybody and a very good morning to all of you. And especially thank to Dr. Rantu Gohai for your very beautiful introduction. And respected principal of Sibsagar Girls College, Dr. Budhin Mishra. Actually, although formally I am addressing him as a respected principal Budhin Mishra, but actually he is my elder brother almost because
মই মাতিছিলো তুমি নুশুনিলা নেকি মই মাতিছিলো তুমি নুশুনিলা ভালো আছা
actually I was really very happy to be present in the Sibsagar Girls College. Actually, as Dr. Rita Borgatike has also mentioned, then actually I was from Sibsagar. I was born and I was brought up in Sibsagar, and Dr. Budhin Mishra, we have relation when I was born even. মোৰ জন্মৰ পৰাই তেখেতে মোক পাই থকা মানুহ ব্যক্তি আৰু মোৰ ফ্যামিলিৰ লগত এটা খুব ক্লোজ ৰিলেশন থকা পাৰসন তাৰমানে উই আৰ জাস্ট হয় আমি যেতিয়া শিৱসাগৰত আছিলো হয় নৰিয়ান শিৱসাগৰ উই আৰ জাস্ট লাইক ওয়ান ফ্যামিলি ডিউৰিং দ্যাট টাইম and his father is my borta মই borta বুলি মাতিছিলো borta বৰ্মা and বুধিন্দা তেনে তথাপিও গতিকে তেখেতে প্ৰিন্সিপাল বুলি মই যোৱাকালি গম পালো গৰিকাৰ পৰা গম পালো যে এনেকে বুধিন্দা তাৰে প্ৰিন্সিপাল সো ৰেডা মই হেতু জানি আৰু বেছি মই সুখী হৈছো যে তেখেতৰ কলেজত মই at least ভাৰ্চুৱেলি হলেও মই প্ৰেজেন্ট থাকিম আৰু একচুয়ালি অফলাইনত যদি মই শিৱসাগৰ গাৰ্লছ কলেজৰ প্ৰেজেন্ট থাকিব পাৰিলে আৰু বেছি মানে আই উড বি ফিলিং মাছ মোৰ হ্যাপি আৰু মই এক্সপেক্ট কৰো ইন ফিউচাৰ
মই আহিব
জানাই চিওৰ আৰু বহুত খিনি মোৰ চিনাকি আছে তাতে গৰিকাকটো মই জানো ৰন্টু ইজ মাই ষ্টুডেন্ট so he is very close to me so many of the faculty members of Sibsagar Girls College are very well known to me and moreover I think many of the participants here what I find from this data more than about 210 participants are here in this webinar. It is really very good number of participants is here and I think most of the participants are very well known to me and many of you might have already attended a webinar or any kind of seminar conferences where I delivered my lecture. So I must be thankful to the organizing committee of this webinar from Sibsagar Girls College, including the coordinator, Dr. Gorika Bhattacharya, Dr. Rantu Gohai, Dr. Rita Borgatike, all other faculty members. And I'd like to address all the respected participants coming from the different parts of Assam, and most probably from the out of Assam also. There are some participants, I think, from the out of Assam also, as per information available to me. So I'd like to address all of you, and I'd like to congratulate all of you for attending this webinar. Best of all to all of you. So the topic actually which has been assigned to me by the organizing committee is National Education Policy with special focus on higher education. And regarding this national policy, actually, we might have observed, all of you, I mean, সকলে observe কৰি আছো the last 2 years there has been lot of discussion, lot of arguments regarding the implementation of new national education policy. And so many webinars, so many conferences, seminars, etc. with national education policy. Even I myself have experience of delivering lecture in more than 100 such type of webinar and seminar and conferences only on national education policy. So it indicates that how we stakeholders are so much aware of this implementation of new national education policy for the country like India. Now coming to this national education policy, actually I will come to the discussion on higher education. So how higher education has been specially focused on this new national education policy, and what are the probable implementation policies and strategies so far national education policy is concerned. These things, of course, I will come and we'll discuss about all these things. Now, when coming to this national education policy, although all of you are already aware and already have knowledge about the provisions of national education policy, I don't need to discuss elaborately regarding the different provisions of national education policy. Rather, I prefer this to discuss some of the implementation strategies, policy, and the obstacles in the implementation of new national education policy. And when after my presentation, when you will have some questions and query, then I think our discussions will be more lively. So I will appreciate you for your queries and questions after my presentation. So when we're talking about this national education policy, we know that national education policy is one of the most important one, a national education policy, because you know that after independence we become one nation, India becomes one nation, and this is the idea which was given by Kothari Commission, that we need one common education system for the nation like India. We need a common education system, and if you need a common education system for the country, then we need a national education policy which may be applicable for the whole country. And on the basis of the suggestions given, recommendations given by Kothari Commission or National Education Commission, the government of India, for the first time, they have implemented or launched a new national education policy. That was the first national education policy for the India, for a country like India. It was in 1968. So Kothari Commission submitted its report in 1966. Then according to the Kothari Commission recommendation, national education policy, first national education policy was implemented from 1968. So in that national education policy, you know that there was a lot of changes. Whole education system was totally restructured. Even today's our structure of education, 10+2+3 structure of education system, this is the contribution of National Education Policy 1968. Even our curriculum and pedagogical system, our language formula, 3-language formula, these all are the contribution of 1968 National Education Policy. And if we go through the first National Education Policy Report 1968, and if you go through the recent or proposed National Education Policy 2020, then you will find that a lot of similarities are there between these two national education policy. Actually, so many provisions and suggestions that were given in the 1968 national education policy have been recommended to be continued even in the 2020 national education policy, also with some modification and some new strategies. So after 1968 national education policy, that again another second national education policy was implemented in 1986. That was the National Education Policy in 1986 when Rajiv Gandhi was the Prime Minister of India. So during that time, the ভাৰতবৰ্ষৰ মানুহক আমাৰ 21st century কাৰণে মাত্ৰ এটা দশক বাকি আছিলে. So we have to prepare the Indian citizen for the 21st century. আৰু যাৰ কাৰণে because of these reasons, the government of India, led by Rajiv Gandhi, Prime Minister, decided to implement a new national education policy which will equip the Indian citizen for the 21st century social order. So accordingly, 1986 national education policy that has been implemented. And no major changes were taken place in 1986 national education policy. Actually, it was the only continuation of the 1968 national education policy. But even though some new strategies were taken up, like establishment of Navodaya Vidyalaya, establishment of DIET, District Institute of Educational Training for Teachers Training, establishment of academic staff college in the different universities, which have been renamed as Human Resource Development Center at present, introduction of refresher and orientation course for the college and university teachers. So these were the contribution of 1986 National Education Policy. And apart from which there was a emphasis on adult and continuing education, there has been emphasis on reformation of higher education, institutional change of higher education. A lot of such type of suggestions were there. For universalization of elementary education, there was many schemes like Operation Blackboard and etc. So such type of many strategies were taken up in 1986 National Education Policy. But many of the provisions of 1986 National Education Policy were being implemented, and again many of the policies, many of the provisions made in 1986 National Education Policy were being still unimplemented. Anyway, after 1986 policy, you see that we have already completed 34 years of national education policy, 1986. But during these 34 years, there were a lot of changes were taking place all over the world. You know that during the last few decades, last 2 or 3 decades, whole world have been witnessed with the tremendous development of science and technology. There is a wave of globalization, privatization, liberalization. There has been economic liberalization. And due to this economic liberalization, there has been emerging concept like commercialization, internationalization, and these all are because of the wave of globalization. So this type of circumstances that were taking place all over the world have made the whole world society different. Now we, the people, we have to adjust it with the new social order that are prevailing at present. So for this type of reason, for this type of changes were taking place, you see, we have seen that there was a very few changes, few reformations in the field of education, Indian education. So it is therefore, it was in 2014 when Bharatiya Janata Party contested in the parliamentary election. In their election manifesto, they have assured that if they can come to power, they can lead the central government, then their first attempt will be to bring some reformation in the education system, and through launching a new national education policy. So accordingly, you know that Bharatiya Janata Party could lead the government in 2014, and they have kept their promise. Accordingly, a committee was constituted for evolving a new national education policy. The committee was chaired by T.S.R. Subramaniam, and the committee was known as Subramaniam Committee. with 7 members. And Dr. T.S.R. Subramaniam was a former cabinet secretary. He is a senior most IS officer, a bureaucrat actually. So the committee was constituted for evolving a new national education policy. Only after a year, it was established in 2016, and in 2017, this committee has submitted its report to the Ministry of Human Resource Development. On the basis of the T.S.R. Subramaniam Committee report on evolving new national education policy, the Government of India, Human Resource Development Minister Prakash Javadekar, has constituted a draft committee for preparation of a new national education policy. The chairman of this draft committee was K. Kasturirangam. So K. Kasturirangam was a former chairman of ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization, and he is a prominent scientist and educationist. There were total 11 members who were there in that committee. Although 11 members were there, 2 members have resigned. Ultimately, 9 members were working to prepare the draft national education policy. And 1 member was from Assam also, but actually originally he was from Assam, but now he was working in JNU, Jawaharlal Nehru University. He was Professor Asif Majar. He is the Department of Persian, Guwahati University. He was in my university, my colleague. He was my colleague. So when he was in Guwahati University, during that time, he was appointed as a member of the draft national education policy. But after a few months, he left Guwahati University. He joined Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. So anyway, the Kasturirangam Committee submitted this report in May 2019, and all of you know it, that in May 2019, the committee had submitted its report to the Ministry of Human Resource Development. Now, just after submission of this report, there was a countrywide repercussion, there was a mixed reaction among the stakeholders regarding the provisions of the national education policy. While many of the stakeholders, many people, academicians wanted to say this policy will bring a revolutionary changes in our education system, and they have welcomed and appreciated the provisions of the national education policy, and against of which many of the academicians have severely criticized the national education policy on the ground that this national education policy will collapse the mass education system, public education system in India, and will encourage the commercialization and privatization of education system. So this type of different reactions are there among the stakeholders, of course. But the fact is that the policy, of course, have many merits, many strengths are there. But naturally, it may have some weakness will also be, of course, there. But one thing we cannot deny, no one can deny, this national education policy is one of the most comprehensive national education policy in Indian educational history. This policy has included each and every branches of education, every aspects of education. There is hardly any issue in educational field that is not being touched by this policy report. It has included almost everything of educational aspect of education system. So anyway, there was so many reaction, and Government of India had given it in public domain. It is given in their website, and there was so many seminars, discussion, debaters were there. And MHRD, Ministry of Human Resource Development, asked for suggestions and recommendations from the stakeholders. And as per the information by Ministry of Human Resource Development, that MHRD has received more than 2,25,000 suggestions from the different corners of the country as well as from abroad. And after incorporating many of the suggestions, ultimately after a year, Government of India has prepared a final draft report of the National Education Policy, and it was in 2020 in the month of July. I think it was in 30th July. The Union Cabinet Ministry has approved the implementation of the new proposed National Education Policy, which was named as National Education Policy 2020. And original actually whole report was 477 pages report, but now it has been reduced to only 60 pages, which was approved in the Union Cabinet. And after approval of the Union Cabinet, now we the people are clear the picture that national education policy is going to be implemented for a country like India. And within a short period, there will be a lot of changes in the education system. There will be restructuring of education at all levels, from the school education level as well as higher education level. There will be changes in the curriculum and pedagogy in the education system, and even there will be certain changes in the basic philosophy of Indian education system. So now what kind of changes? You see that the national education policy has emphasized from the primary education, even for the early childhood education, up to the higher education level. In every branches of education, there will be changes, there will be restructuring of education. Although it is mentioned, actually the policy is also the continuation of our earlier policies. 1968 National Education Policy, 1986 National Education. It is a continuation of the policies with some modifications according to the changing demand of the time. সময়ৰ পৰিৱৰ্তনৰ লগে লগে আমাৰ যি নতুন নতুন কথাৰ পৰিৱৰ্তনৰ প্ৰয়োজন হৈছে, সেই সকলোবোৰ পৰিৱৰ্তন মানে এই নতুন শিক্ষানীতিত মানে ইনক্লুড কৰিছে, সোমোৱাই দিছে, আৰু তাৰ ওপৰত ভিত্তি কৰি আমাৰ নতুন শিক্ষানীতি এটা তৈয়াৰ কৰা হৈছে, যি শিক্ষানীতিয়ে ভাৰতবৰ্ষৰ গোটেই শিক্ষা ব্যৱস্থাৰ যিটো ভিত্তি বেছিক এইটো সলনি কৰি দিব। ইয়াৰ যিটো মানে সাংগঠনিক যিটো ভিত্তি, the structural যিটো বেচিছ, এইটো সম্পূৰ্ণৰূপে সলনি কৰি দিব। পাঠ্যক্ৰমৰ পৰা আদি কৰি শিক্ষণ পদ্ধতিলৈকে প্ৰতিটো ক্ষেত্ৰতে এটা সাংঘাতিক ধৰণৰ পৰিৱৰ্তন আনি দিব বুলি আশা কৰা হৈছে। আৰু এই গোটেই শিক্ষা নীতিটো, this new national education policy, it has a different philosophy. এইটো এটা ইউনিক এটা ফিলচফিৰ ওপৰত বেছ কৰি this policy has been constructed. Now, just মই গোটেইখিনি ডিছকাশ্যন কৰিবলৈ গৈ I think it is better to present some of the important provisions of these policies and some of the principles on the basis of which the policy has been constituted. Itu মই এটা just through a PowerPoint presentation, I would like to present it. যদি PowerPoint visible নহয় তেতিয়ালে মোক কলে হ'ব। Please inform me if my PPT is not visible to you.
Okay, sir. ঠিক আছে।
Okay. Is it visible or not?
Yes, visible,
Yes,
sir.
sir, it is visible.
Is it visible? Okay, thank you. Okay, actually my discussion I have named as National Education Policy 2020 Future Roadmap for Higher Education. So you see that I have just identified some of the basic principles of this policy. So far higher education is concerned. আৰু এই পলিসি কেটা ডিসকাশন কৰিলে আমি গুটি হোল actually ideas of national policy will be very much clear. So first thing is that how the changes are expected in the field of higher education. The policy based on this following principle. Firstly, that revamping the higher education system, create world-class multidisciplinary higher educational institution across the country. Now, actually, the policy aims at to revamping the higher education system. So it is now criticized. Lot of criticism is there that our higher education system is not adequate. It does not have adequate accessibility. It does not have adequate equality. It does not have adequate credibility. It does not have adequate relevance. So many defects are there in our Indian higher education system. So far quality is concerned, not a single Indian university could get any position among the top universities of the world. Even according to the Times of Higher Education, that survey, no any Indian higher education could occupy position among the top universities of the world. However, recently, in the recent report, some of the Indian institutions, IITs, have occupied some position. It is a matter of pleasure for every one of us. So now the policy, national education policy, new national education policy aim is to revamp the whole higher education system and create world-class universities or institutions, higher education institutions. So why these world-class institutions? That is one thing is that that in our country, Bharatbharashat, Bartaman, we don't have a world-class multidisciplinary institutions. Just now I have mentioned that not a single university could get any position among the top world-class universities. So now we need to create such type of institutions in India which can get a top position among the top universities of the world. And এটি কৰিবলৈ হলে what we need to make the whole higher education system multidisciplinary, not a single stream higher education institutions, because we find that those higher education institutions which could occupy top ranking in the world ranking, all institutions are multidisciplinary institutions. Even in USA, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, although it is an institute of technology, but practically that institution is a multidisciplinary institution. Oxford University is a multidisciplinary institution. So we need to create such type of higher education institutions in India which will be world-class multidisciplinary. So therefore it is again mentioned the moving towards higher educational system consisting of large multidisciplinary universities and colleges. So here they have used the word large institutions. You know that in our country, India is having more than 1,000 universities or university level institutions at present. And we are having more than 40,000 colleges, all are affiliated colleges. But out of these 40,000 colleges, we will find that majority of the colleges having very limited number of students, maybe 500, 600, 700 even. আমাৰ অসমত আমি যদি চাওঁ উইল ফাইণ্ড দ্যাট অকল আমাৰ অসমতে এনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ বহুত কলেজ আপোনালোকে দেখা পাব যিবোৰ কলেজ মাত্ৰ 500 বা 600 ষ্টুডেণ্টেৰে চলি আছে, ভেৰি স্মল কলেজ। এইবোৰ majority of these colleges are single stream college or stand alone college বুলি কোৱা হয় এইবিলাকক। কিছুমান কলেজ অকল আৰ্টছ ষ্ট্ৰীমেৰে চলি আছে, কিছুমান অকল সায়েন্স ষ্ট্ৰীমেৰে চলি আছে, কিন্তু ভেৰি স্মল এণ্ড স্মল কলেজ। Now the new national education policy will not encourage such type of small colleges and small institutions. All the higher education institutions will be large and multidisciplinary. And one thing you remember that whole the national education policy report, some of the terms they have used very frequently. Firstly, holistic development. They are giving more importance of holistic development, not a one-sided development. Holistic development, it indicates for the all-sided development. Your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and vocational, theoretical, skill-based, everything. When we can have all types of development in the students, just simply it is called a holistic development. So There every pages or almost all the pages they will find this term holistic development in the report. They are using the holistic development, and for the holistic development, the policy has encouraged for multidisciplinary. If you want to have holistic development of the students, then our institutions should be multidisciplinary institutions. So then again, the policy has also emphasized, or they are using very frequently, they are using another term is autonomous. All the institutions must be autonomous. So I'll come to this point. Now, another point is the India-centered education. Actually, the policy, whole national education policy philosophy is based on India-centered education. We need an education system, higher education system, which will be based on Indian educational heritage, Indian culture, and Indian tradition and Indian languages. That will be called an India-centered education. It is said that our higher education system is actually a contribution of the British, because when British came, although Indian higher education system is very old, in ancient time we have the heritage of higher education like Nalanda, Taxila, Bikramshila, etc. But in the medieval period, these institutions were totally collapsed. And ultimately, just before the starting of the modern period in India, we did not have institutions of higher education. Then again, when British, they have started some educational activities in India. Again, they have started an modern education system in India, modern higher education system in India by establishing colleges and universities. In 1857, Calcutta University, Madras University, and Bombay University, the first modern universities were established in India. But actually, although it was a modern education system, but it was initiated by a foreign ruler, British. So therefore, this whole education system was not based on our Indian culture and Indian heritage. Now the new national education policy or Kasturangam committee emphasized that we need a higher education system which will be India-centered education based on Indian culture, heritage, and tradition and languages, because our Indian educational heritage is very rich. Our culture is very rich. So therefore, we have to spread our cultural heritage to the world. Increase access, equity, and inclusion is another important principle. Actually, the why you need to change the higher education system in national education policy, because our higher education system is lacking of accessibility. Even still, the accessibility of higher education is so poor that hardly 28% of the Indian youth are access to higher education. Equity is a major concern. We don't have equity in higher education. A lot of inequality is there among the social inequality is there, gender inequality is there, regional inequality is there. So equity is to be established. And if you have to establish the equity, inclusion is must. Our higher education system is not running with an inclusive system. It is an exclusive system. So many of the the underprivileged students, people, they have been deprived from inclusion in higher education. So if you want to develop our higher education system, we need to improve its accessibility. We need to establish its equity. We need to make it inclusive. So this is the basic idea of national education policy. And for increasing the accessibility of higher education, the policy has suggested by 2035, at least 50% of the students should be enrolled in the Indian higher education system. At least 50%. At present, it is 28. It is confined to 28%. But in 2035, by 2035, it should be minimum 50%. Because you know that our country, India, is aspiring to be a developed nation, economy developed nation by 2055. ভাৰতবৰ্ষই সপোন দেখি আছে বিশ্বৰ ভিতৰত এটা ছুপাৰ পাৱাৰ হ'বৰ কাৰণে, অৰ্থনৈতিকভাৱে ছুপাৰ পাৱাৰ হ'ব। চ' অৰ্থনৈতিকভাৱে যদি এখন মানে ডেভেলপ কাণ্ট্ৰি হ'বলগীয়া হয়, ছুপাৰ পাৱাৰ হ'বলগীয়া হয়, দেন দ্য ফাৰ্ষ্ট থিং ইজ দেট accessibility of education to all people, all children, all citizens. ডেভেলপ কাণ্ট্ৰি, যিবোৰ আমি ডেভেলপ কাণ্ট্ৰিত দেখা পাওঁ, USA, UK, কানাডা, জাপান, এইবোৰৰ পৰা দেখা পাওঁ, ইভেন চাইনা, they are having more than 70% gross enrollment in higher education. In some countries are having 80% of gross enrollment in higher education. By Indian condition is extremely poor. We are having only 27 to 28% of gross enrollment ratio. It is not compared to the developed countries. But India, we are aspiring to be a developed country shortly. So therefore, increasing of gross enrollment ratio is must. This is a very good suggestions given by National Education Policy. But even though although National Education Policy report has suggested this, recommended this, but Government of India even before that also has taken certain strategies for increasing gross enrollment ratio. Even the Rashtriya Uchchatar Shiksha Abhiyan, RUSA was launched in 2012. One of the objectives of RUSA is to enhance the gross enrollment ratio up to 35% by 2022. 2022 চনৰ ভিতৰত ভাৰতবৰ্ষত উচ্চ শিক্ষাৰ ভৰ্তিকৰণৰ হাৰ মিনিমাম 35% কৰিব লাগিব বুলি ৰুচাটো আচলতে এইটো এটা অবজেক্টিভ হিচাপে লোৱা হৈছে। So then another principle of this policy is the curriculum reformation, revamping curriculum, pedagogy, assessment, and students supported more flexibility. It's just revamping the curriculum. Why revamping of curriculum? Higher education curriculum, আমাৰ উচ্চ শিক্ষাৰ যিখন curriculum আছে, is it adequate? Is it modern? Is it up to date? That is a big question. And majority of the academicians, educationists have criticized the present curriculum of higher education. That majority of the Indian universities are following very outdated curriculum. We are following a curriculum which has no relevance in the modern education society, which has no relevance in the present job market, because of which majority of the Indian educated people are being unemployed. Our curriculum is not adequate to equip our people to stand on their own legs. So that is one of the drawbacks of our curriculum. So we need to change our curriculum. And again, our curriculum does not give importance on holistic development. It is totally a one-sided curriculum. So therefore you see that the students who are engineering students, they learn the skill of engineering, no doubt, but they don't have holistic development. They don't have the development of other side, like your emotional development, spiritual development, mental development. They have only the skill development in engineering. Even many times, our engineering graduates don't have skill development also. They have only theoretical concept of different aspects of education. They don't have the practical ability. So our curriculum is totally a defective curriculum. Again, third time, our curriculum is not based on our Indian culture and heritage. Our higher education curriculum has totally neglected our Indian heritage, Indian culture. So therefore, this policy has recommended for revamping of curriculum. Similarly, pedagogy. Our pedagogical system is also very much theoretical. Our pedagogical system is such that where all students are not benefited. Assessment system is totally a subjective assessment system we are having at present. Our assessment system does not have flexibility, does not have objectivity. So we are totally failed to assess our students. Really, student support system is not proper in our higher education system. So therefore, our higher education system, curriculum reformation is must, pedagogical transformation is required, assessment system is need to be modified or changed, and student support system is to be developed. They are giving more importance on flexibility, more flexibility. So why more flexibility? Our present education system is very much rigid system. We don't have flexibility. We need to develop more flexibility among the students. So students should be given more freedom to choose their subject and course of study. The flexibility is required. No hard separation of subject or streams. That was the suggestion actually recommended by new education policy. So no hard separation of subjects or streams. You see, in our education system, there is no integration among the subjects. There is no integration among the streams. So all the subjects are in watertight compartment. All the streams are in watertight compartment. There is no integration. We have the streams like arts, science, commerce, technical, etc. etc. These are the different streams. The arts students does not have knowledge of science. Science student does not have knowledge of arts subjects. But all are important for holistic development. So now we have to make free our education system, our subjects and stream from the compartmentalization. Actually, our all Indian education system, our educational heritage, our ভারতবর্ষের যেটো শিক্ষার যেটো ঐতিহ্য, that was based on flexibility, where emphasis was there on liberal education, because you know that national education policy has emphasis on liberal education. Our whole Indian education system was liberal education. And liberal education is that where there is more freedom, more flexibility. Now, according to the new education policy, কোনোবা arts student arts-ত পঢ়ি আছে, science-ত পঢ়িছে, this concept will be totally disappear. There will be no concept like arts subject, science subject, etc. Even arts students will be able to select a subject from science or commerce. Even science students selecting the subject like chemistry and physics can select a subject like history or political science or economics or even fine arts or even in music or dance. Anything, any subjects may be selected by the students on their own choice. There will be greater flexibility of subjects. All higher educational institutions will gradually move towards full autonomy. What are these autonomy? Academic autonomy, administrative autonomy, financial autonomy. There will be reformations in the regulatory system also. I will come this how regulatory system is going to be reformed. So the new National Education Policy 2020 is based on these principles mainly. So far, higher education is concerned. I'm not discussing here the school education, but our main higher education principles are this. Just I have pointed out some of the principles. So, okay, coming to the next slide. So, how this will be visualized? What kind of changes have been suggested and expected by National Education Policy? First, if you want to make total changes in the higher education, we need to restructure. So therefore, National Education Policy suggested for new institutional structure of higher education. This is the new institutional structure. I think many of you or almost all of us have already gone through this new structure of higher education. So new structure, you see, present, our Indian higher education system is characterized by diversity. Diversity in the sense that we have various types of higher education institutions. We have the institutions like affiliating university, unitary university, federal university. We have open university, deemed university. We have national institutions of national importance, etc., etc. We have universities for medical science. We have different institutions for engineering and technology, for agriculture, for pharmaceutical education, for art and craft, for arts, for science, for commerce. So different types of colleges and universities we are having. So সেইকাৰণে এইটো কোৱা হৈছে ভাৰতবৰ্ষৰ যিটো উচ্চ শিক্ষা ব্যৱস্থা এইটো হৈছে সাংঘাতিক ধৰণৰ এটা ডাইভাৰ্চিটি আছে। এতিয়া new education policy, what it has suggested, new education policy 2020 has suggested that there will be only 3 types of higher education institutions. ভাৰতবৰ্ষত এই যিটো higher education diversity এইটো নাথাকিব, মাত্ৰ 3টা type of higher education institution থাকিব। All higher education institutions will be either research university or teaching university or college. So firstly, these teaching universities or research universities. Research university will be those universities which will focus on research along with teaching. Teaching university will be those universities which will be involved in teaching along with research. But one thing is the research universities and teaching universities, both types of university will be large higher education, multidisciplinary higher education institution. A research university will have minimum students 5,000 to 25,000. And a teaching universities will have also minimum students tank 5,000 to 25,000. Minimum 5,000 will be there. And it is said that research university, all the many central institutions will be converted to research universities, of course. But the demarcation between this research university and teaching university is not very much clear in the policy report. Actually, what are the criteria on the basis of which an university will be declared as research university or teaching universities? Because all the universities have focused on research and teaching equally. If I give example of my university, Guwahati University, our Guwahati University has tremendously progressed so far research is concerned. But teaching is our main duty. So both research and teaching we are running simultaneously. Then whether my university will be considered a research or teaching university. But as per the policy document, it will be teaching university. So in that way, the demarcation is actually till now not clear on the basis of which research university and teaching university will be demarcated. Then third type of higher education institution will be colleges. Colleges means not like the today's colleges. Today's colleges, why I'm saying that today's colleges? Today's all the, except a few colleges, almost all colleges, more than 90% of the colleges in India are affiliating college. They are affiliated to some universities. And that these affiliating colleges, actually they are not independent higher education institutions. There is not a perfect independent higher education institution. Why I am saying they are not perfectly independent higher education institutions? Suppose my university, Guwahati University, we are having more than 360 affiliating colleges. We have 360 affiliating colleges. So what are the duties and functions of the affiliating colleges? A affiliating college they don't have the power of curriculum construction. They don't have power of examination and evaluation. They don't have the power of awarding degrees. সো যিকোনো এখন এফিলিয়েটিং কলেজৰ আজি আপোনালোকৰ শিৱসাগৰ গাৰ্লছ কলেজলৈ যদি চাই তে শিৱসাগৰ গাৰ্লছ কলেজে কি কোৰ্চ দিব তেওঁলোকে কাৰিকুলাম কনষ্ট্ৰাক্ট নকৰে আপোনালোকে কাৰিকুলাম কনষ্ট্ৰাক্ট কৰা নাই আপোনালোকে এক্সামিনেশ্যন নাপাতে ডিব্ৰুগড় ইউনিভাৰ্চিটি আপোনালোকৰ এফিলিয়েটিং ইউনিভাৰ্চিটি তেওঁলোকে পাতিব কাৰিকুলামখন তেওঁলোকে আপোনালোকক দি দিব এক্সামিনেশ্যন তেওঁলোকে পাতিব ডিগ্ৰীটো ৰিজাল্টটো তেওঁলোকে দিব আৰু ডিগ্ৰীটো উইল বি অলছ' এৱাৰ্ডেড বাই দ্য ইউনিভাৰ্চিটি দেন হোৱাট আৰ দ্য ফাংচনছ অফ দিছ কলেজ The functions of this college is confined to only teaching. Teaching or bahire, these colleges don't have any other functions. University cooperate koribo lagibo, that is not the function, no doubt. But these colleges don't have any independent responsibility. Because they are not autonomous, they are affiliating college. So gotike, এই গতি এফিলিয়েটিং যিটো চিষ্টেম অফ কলেজেছ ইট ৱাজ একচুৱেলি ইন্ট্ৰডিউচ বাই ব্ৰিটিছসকলে আগবঢ়াইছিলে এইটো কিন্তু ইউকেট বা ব্ৰিটিছসকলে বহু বছৰ আগতে লং বেক দে হেভ অলৰেডি ডিছকাৰ্ডেড দ্য আইডিয়া অফ এফিলিয়েটিং চিষ্টেম আজি আমেৰিকাত এফিলিয়েটিং কলেজ নাই ইউকেট এফিলিয়েটিং কলেজ নাই কানাডা জাপানত এফিলিয়েটিং কলেজ নাই But only India we are having affiliating colleges, and this is a major, focus of higher education. That's affiliating colleges. আৰু এইটো কোৱা হৈছে যে ভাৰতবৰ্ষৰ যিটো শিক্ষাৰ যিটো কোৱালিটি এই কোৱালিটিৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত এফিলিয়েটিং যিটো চিষ্টেম দিছ ইজ ওৱান অফ দ্য অবষ্টেকল সেইটো কোৱা হৈছে নেশ্যনেল এডুকেশ্যন পলিচিটো কোৱা হৈছে আৰু বহুত শিক্ষাবিদো সেইটো কৈছে আৰু সেইকাৰণে ইট ইজ ছেড ডেট অল দ্য কলেজেছ শুড বি অট'নমাছ কলেজেছ কিন্তু কলেজৰ লগত তাতো এটা কথা আছে যে আমাৰ মই অলপ আগতে কৈছিলোঁ যে আমাৰ বহুত কলেজ আছে 500-600 ষ্টুডেণ্টে চলি আছে এটা ষ্ট্ৰীমেৰে চলি আছে but the new idea will be that there will be no any small colleges all the colleges must have minimum student enrollment 2,000 to 5,000 so minimum 2,000 to 5,000 student enrollment must be there and all the colleges will be multidisciplinary colleges there will be no standalone colleges অকল আৰ্টছ ষ্ট্ৰীমেৰে এখন কলেজ বৰ্তমান নচলিব অকল সায়েন্স ষ্ট্ৰীমেৰে এখন কলেজ নচলিব বা অকল কমাৰ্চ ষ্ট্ৰীমেৰে এখন কলেজ নচলিব এতিয়া আমাৰ অসমত বহুত আৰ্টছ কলেজ আছে সায়েন্স কলেজ আছে বা অকল কমাৰ্চ কলেজ আছে কিন্তু as per the national education policy report all these colleges will be converted to or upgraded to a multidisciplinary college having all streams and different other subjects even music dance drama sports these will be also there these colleges have to provide liberal education and all the colleges will be autonomous college these colleges will be able to award degree themselves they have to construct their curriculum they have to conduct the examination they have to award the degree so the present nomenclature of higher education institution as deemed university affiliating university unitary university and so on will be phased out. So this is the new structure of our higher education. Then coming to this holistic and multidisciplinary education, already I have mentioned this, the policy has emphasized for holistic and multidisciplinary education. Move towards more imaginative, broad-based liberal education as a foundation for holistic development. So liberal education will be there. And liberal education, already I have mentioned this concept of liberal education. According to the new concept of liberal education, it will actually, which will liberate our mind. And what will liberate our mind? When we'll have a multidisciplinary knowledge. Our knowledge will be not in a watertight compartment. So rather, we have to get a liberal idea of education. We have to understand the every aspects of human life. Maybe social science, maybe spirituality, maybe emotionality, everything. When all-sided education and development will be there, that will be termed as liberal education, which will liberate our mind and which will develop our holistic side or holistic development of our students. And for which our Bachelor of Education, this is our 3 years degree ase, it will be changed. How it will be changed? There will be introduction of 4-year degree course, which will be called Bachelor of Liberal Arts or Bachelor of Liberal Education. This will be offered. But 3-year traditional BA BSc will also continue, but apart from which there will be introduction of 4-year bachelor degree. And this 4-year bachelor degree will be characterized by multiple exit option with appropriate certification. So this multiple exit option means suppose কোনোবাই যদি ব্যাচেলর ডিগ্ৰী এবছৰ পঢ়ে, মাত্ৰ এবছৰ পঢ়ে, তেতিয়াহ'লে হি উইল গেট এ চাৰ্টিফিকেট, এখন কমপ্লিশ্যন চাৰ্টিফিকেট পাব। যদি 2 বছৰ পঢ়ি যদি ডিগ্ৰীটো এৰি দিয়ে, দেন হি উইল গেট এ ডিপ্ল'মা। যদি 3 years কমপ্লিট কৰে, হি উইল গেট এ বেচেলৰ ডিগ্ৰী অফ 3 years ডিউৰেশ্যন। বাট প্ৰিফাৰেবলি হি হেজ টু কমপ্লিট 4 years Bachelor of Liberal Education, 4-year Bachelor of Liberal Education. Then he will get a certificate of Bachelor of Liberal Education. Our Bachelor 4 years Bachelor of Liberal Education korile ki hobo, he will get some different opportunities afterwards. Pisor samote beleg kisuman opportunity pabo. For example, without doing even master degree, he can go for research degree. Enekwa dhoroner kisuman option pabo. BEd ডিগ্ৰী মাত্ৰ এবছৰ BEd ডিগ্ৰী কৰিলে হ'ব, তেনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ কিছুমান অপশ্যন দিব। বাট এইবোৰ হয়তো ষ্ট্ৰেটেজিকেল যিখিনি প্লেন বনাব ইমপ্লিমেণ্টেশ্যন কমিটি, তেওঁলোকে সেইটো প্ৰিপেয়াৰ কৰিব। চ' আগতে কিন্তু আমাৰ বৰ্তমান প্ৰেজেণ্ট ছিষ্টেমত কি হয় যে আমাৰ বহুত ল'ৰা ছোৱালী আছে এবছৰ ডিগ্ৰী পঢ়ি পেলাই এৰি দিয়ে, তাৰ কিন্তু বেনিফিটটো একো নাপায়। কাৰণ এবছৰ বা 2 বছৰ পঢ়াৰ পিছত তেওঁ চাকৰিত সোমাই বা কিবা এটা কামত সোমাই দিয়ে, কিন্তু তেওঁতো কোনো ধৰণৰ বেনিফিট নাপায়। এবছৰ পঢ়াৰ কাৰণে 2 বছৰৰ কোনো চাৰ্টিফিকেট নাপায়। কিন্তু এটা নতুন কনসেপ্ট মতে তেওঁলোকে এবছৰৰ কাৰণে পাব, 2 বছৰৰ কাৰণে পাব। আৰু হাউ ইট উইল বেনিফিট, এইটো এটা অন্য টাইপৰ বেনিফিট দিব যে শিক্ষাৰ প্ৰতিটো স্তৰতে হায়াৰ এডুকেশ্যন ইন এভৰি ইয়াৰ অফ এডুকেশ্যন there will be specially emphasis on skill development. Bachelor Liberal Education 4-year degree first year or পৰাই emphasis will be given on skill development. যাতে ল'ৰা ছোৱালীয়ে এবছৰ কমপ্লিট কৰিলেও সেই particular skill to they use kori, he can be engaged in some other vocation or profession. So, undertaking PhD shall require master degree or 4-year bachelor degree with research. MPhil program will be discontinued. There will be no MPhil program. Then, for students' flexibility, more flexibility, আমি সকলোৱে জানো যে বৰ্তমান যিটো credit and grading system কথা আমি প্ৰত্যেকেই জানো, credit system. Because already Dibrugarh University, Guwahati University, and all other universities have introduced credit system. A credit system কি কৰিব ষ্টুডেণ্টক কিছুমান ফ্লেক্সিবিলিটি দিয়ে, তেওঁলোকে যিমানখিনি তেওঁলোকে ক্লাছ কৰিব accordingly credit will be given to the students. And credit is given to the students. Now according to the new education policy, এইটো আৰু নতুনকৈ এটা চেঞ্জ কৰা হ'ব যে an academic bank of credit shall be established. And recently, University Grants Commission has already issued a notification, just 3 months back, 3 months back. সেইখন মতে কি হ'ব যে University Grants Commission will establish academic bank of credit. এই academic bank of credit কেনেকুৱা হ'ব? It will be just like any other bank. আমি যেনেকৈ বেংকত টকা পইচা জমা থওঁ, ঠিক তেনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ এটা বেংক UGCয়ে establish কৰিব। So, সেই বেংকত কি হ'ব যে আমি প্ৰতি ষ্টুডেণ্টে আমি তাতে এটা একাউণ্ট খুলিব পাৰিম। সেই একাউণ্টটো হ'ব ক্ৰেডিট একাউণ্ট। সেই একাউণ্টটোত ইউজুৱেলি আমি একাউণ্টত যেনেকৈ পইচা জমা থওঁ, সেইটো একাডেমিক বেংক ক্ৰেডিটত কি হ'ব, আমাৰ ক্ৰেডিট জমা হ'ব। চৰি, আহি আছেনে মোৰ হেৰি হৈ আছেনে? এখন আহি আছেনে বাৰু? আছে স্যার, আছে না? ঠিক আছে। So it is the academic brand credit to কেনেকুৱা হ'ব তাতে ষ্টুডেণ্টৰ ক্ৰেডিট জমা হৈ থাকিব মানে সাপোজ কোনোবা ষ্টুডেণ্টে কোনোবা এটা ইনষ্টিটিউশ্যনত এটা কোৰ্স কৰিলে তেওঁ তাৰ কাৰণে এক্সট্ৰা ক্ৰেডিট এটা কোৰ্সৰ কাৰণে সাপোজ 10 ক্ৰেডিট লাগে কিন্তু তেওঁ 15 ক্ৰেডিট জমা হ'ল তেওঁৰ গতিকে তেওঁ 5 ক্ৰেডিটটো কি কৰিব পাৰিব বেংকত একাডেমিক বেংক অফ ইণ্ডিয়াত জমা কৰিব পাৰিব ফাৰ্দাৰ ইন ফিউচাৰ বেলেগ কোৰ্স কৰিলে সেই ক্ৰেডিটটো তেওঁ তাতে প্লাস কৰিব পাৰিব কিন্তু তাত কিছুমান কন্ডিশন আছে যে একাডেমিক ব্যাংক ক্রেডিটটো যেনেকৈ আমি অন্যান্য বেংকত আমি কেছ ডিপোজিট আমি একাউন্ট হোল্ডাৰ নিজে কৰো কিন্তু একাডেমিক ব্যাংকেৰ ক্রেডিটটো ষ্টুডেণ্টে নিজে কৰিব নোৱাৰে সেইটো কৰিব ইনষ্টিটিউচনে কৰিব সাপোজ গুৱাহাটী আৰু সকলো ইনষ্টিটিউচনে নোৱাৰে অনলি নেকৰ গ্ৰেডিংৰ যিবোৰ ইনষ্টিটিউচনে এ গ্ৰেড পায় অকল সেই only those institutions will be able to open or deposit academic bank of credit in the account. So it already established hobo already resolution hoi goise UGC already regulation already established korise. So here our students will be benefited. Students keneke benefit hobo they can earn credit on their own way. তেলকে ক্রেডিট তেলকে আর্ন কৰিব পাৰিব আৰু ডিপোজিট কৰিব পাৰিব বাট ইট উইল বি ভ্যালিড আপ টু 7 ইয়ার্স অনলি দে এনেকুৱা নহয় যে 15 বছৰলৈকে থাকিব তেনেকুৱা নহয় ওকে then the model private universities for holistic and multidisciplinary education at par with IIT IIMs it will be called MERU or multidisciplinary education research universities will be set up and will aim to attain the highest global standards in quality education so these are the holistic and multiple education আচ্ছা টাইমটো মোৰ কিমান থাকিব 12 এখন বহুত সময় মই ললো বাৰু কিমান সময় ক'ব পাৰিম আৰু yes
বৰ্ণালী স্যাৰ বৰ্ণালী স্যাৰ ক'ব এইটো পাৰিব বৰ্ণালী টাইম শিডিউলটো বৰ্ণালী কৰিছে
আৰু কিমান
বৰ্ণালী
স্যাৰ আৰু 15 মিনিট লওক স্যাৰ
ওকে ঠিক আছে within 15 minutes I will complete
okay sir
so okay then regarding the internationalization of higher education this is a new thing that we have to make our higher education internationalization because at present our higher education although we are making so many efforts for internationalization but our higher education system has failed to attract the international students আজি ভাৰতবৰ্ষখন এখন এনেকুৱা এখন দেশ যে ভাৰতবৰ্ষ হৈছে second largest student provider to USA ভাৰতবৰ্ষৰ ইমান ষ্টুডেন্ট যায় মানে India is the second largest student provider in foreign countries like UK and USA but how much UK and USA students our Indian higher education system could attract very few we have international students mostly from our neighboring countries like Afghanistan Pakistan Bangladesh etc Myanmar etc but we have very few students from the developed countries like USA UK etc why it is because our Indian higher education system is not in a position to attract the foreign students from the developed countries so therefore the national education policy has suggested certain strategies for developing the internationalization of higher education it includes internationally relevant education courses on Indian language, art, history, and tradition, which will attract the foreign students, encouraging institutional collaboration with foreign institutions, facilitating entry of foreign students and researchers, student exchange, faculty mobility, research collaboration, inviting foreign universities in India. That is one of the controversies that inviting foreign universities in India. You know that the national education policy suggested that top 200 universities, top ranking to among the top 200 ranking universities will be invited to India for establishing their campus. তাৰ কাৰণে বহুত ক্ৰিটিসাইজ হৈছে বহুতে কৈছে যে it will be threatening for the Indian universities but I don't think it will be threatening for Indian universities because already you know that বহুত Indian student already foreign country তেলকে পঢ়িবলৈ যায় কিন্তু যদি ফরেন ইউনিভার্সিটি তেলকে যদি ইন্ডিয়ালৈ গুছি আহে ইয়াতে যদি আমাৰ ষ্টুডেন্টে পঢ়ে it will encourage our Indian university for competition it will help the Indian government for earning that foreign coins revenue So it will help our Indian education system actually. Aro 200 university does not mean that top 200 university all will come and they will establish their campus in India. But idea to hoise je Indian government university kisuman university yat establish teloge campus establish koribo invite koribo kintu he university jikonot koribo that university should be among the top 200 universities of the top 200 universities of the world. It's actually idea. I don't think that it will harm our Indian universities. Then offshore campus, MOOCs and open learning, and inter-university center for international collaboration. These are the suggestions for internationalization. Now coming to the research and innovation, which is a one number important part or important aspects of higher education. So research should be encouraged. For research, National Education Policy suggested for establishment of National Research Foundation. And National Research Foundation will be an autonomous body which will catalyze the expand research and innovation in the country. And actually, National Research Foundation already Government of India in the last year Union budget, Indian Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has mentioned that government has kept certain amount of money for establishment of National Research Foundation. Aru etialage hoyto hoi goloten alop COVID situation karone hoyto kichu harm hoise, kintu already National Research Foundation establishment is under process. And National Research Foundation will responsible for expanding the research activities and developing the quality of research in India. And National Research Foundation will provide financial grants for conducting research. Jeneke etia ami research koribole hole University Grants Commission provide us fund, but now the University Grants Commission will not provide any grants. They will be not given this responsibility to provide financial grants for research. Now National Research Foundation will provide financial grants. UGC হলনি NRF এ দিব এতিয়া আৰু আগতে যেনেকৈ UGC এ দিয়ে AICT এ দিয়ে মেডিকেল কাউন্সিল এ দিয়ে তেনেকৈ বেলেগে দিয়ে কিন্তু এতিয়া only there will be one organization for all types of research grant, maybe medical education, maybe engineering education, technical education, maybe art and culture, maybe science, maybe commerce, anywhere. That will be the National Research Foundation. It will be an autonomous body. So then regulatory system, transforming the regulatory system, another very important focus of national education policy, that our present regulatory system, you know that we have so many defects and drawbacks of our present regulatory system. And therefore it needs to be changed. Our present regulatory system, you know that in India, we have more than 20 regulatory systems of higher education. University Grants Commission, All India Council for Technical Education, Medical Council of India, Bar Council of India, Pharmaceutical Council of India, National Council for Teacher Education, and so. More than 20 regulatory systems are there for regulating the different branches of education. যেনেকৈ UGC General Education কৰে, AICT Technical Education কৰে, তেনেকৈ গতিকে as per the new provision of National Education Policy, there will be only one regulatory system at present. This will be called National Higher Education Regulatory Authority. UGC, PCI, AICT, all will not play their role as regulatory body. Only National Higher Education Regulatory Authority will be only regulator for higher education and professional education. And apart from the National Higher Education Regulatory Authority, there will be some other apex body for higher education. One will be Higher Education Grants Council. So Higher Education Grants Council will be responsible for dispersing developmental and fellowship across the entire higher education sector, including professional education. The current UGC is transformed to Higher Education Grants Council. এতিয়া আপোনালোক চাওঁ যে আমাৰ যিটো ইউজিচি ইউনিভাৰ্চিটি গ্ৰেণ্টছ কমিশ্যন আছে, ইউনিভাৰ্চিটি গ্ৰেণ্টছ কমিশ্যনে কি কৰিব, আমাক ৰিচাৰ্চৰ গ্ৰেণ্টো দিয়ে আৰু ডেভেলপমেণ্টেল গ্ৰেণ্টো দিয়ে। বাট এজ পাৰ দ্য নিউ প্ৰভিজন, দুইটা গ্ৰেণ্ট ছেপাৰেট কৰা হ'ব। ৰিচাৰ্চ গ্ৰেণ্ট উইল বি ছেপাৰেটেড ফ্ৰম দ্য ডেভেলপমেণ্টেল গ্ৰেণ্ট। নাও দ্য ৰিচাৰ্চ গ্ৰেণ্ট উইল বি প্ৰভাইডেড বাই NRF and general grant, developmental grant will be provided by Higher Education Grants Council, not UGC. UGC will not play their role as financial disbursing authority. Neither UGCL will play its role as regulatory body. UGC will just play its role as a professional standard setting body only. Now NAC shall be reinvented and separated from UGC. Now NAC is a part of UGC আচলতে, কাৰণ NACৰ যিখন দুখন কাউন্সিল আছে, একাডেমিক কাউন্সিল এণ্ড এক্সিকিউটিভ কাউন্সিল, তাৰে একচুৱেলি চেয়াৰমেনজন, এক্সিকিউটিভ কাউন্সিল চেয়াৰজন UGCয়ে হয়, UGC চেয়াৰমেনজন হয়, গতিকে NAC is a part of UGC. Now NAC will be totally separated from UGC. Then apart from there will be General Education Council. General Education Council shall be constituted as academic leadership institution, and GEC shall set up and facilitative norms for issues like credit transfer, equivalence, etc. through NHEQF, National Higher Education Quality Framework. It will be started by General Education Council. And at the institutional level, there will be Board of Governors. For all institutions, there will be Board of Governors, and Board of Governors will be responsible for governing of the institutions. State Department of Higher Education will be there, State Higher Education Council will be there at the state level. Approach to teacher education, actually I will not go in detail about teacher education, but actually you know that teacher education will be a responsibility of a higher education institution at present. We will provide teacher education all the multidisciplinary colleges and universities. Now by 2030, the minimum degree qualification for teaching will be 4-year liberal integrated degree, 4-year integrated degree. And this 4-year liberal integrated degree will be provided by general colleges and universities. The present B.Ed colleges will be totally closed down. If the present B.Ed colleges can transform themselves to a multidisciplinary institution, only they can continue to provide degree, integrated 4-year integrated degree and B.Ed degree or etc. এতিয়া বহুত B.Ed কলেজে তেওঁলোকে মাল্টিডিসিপ্লিনাৰী কৰিবলৈ ট্ৰাই কৰি আছে। আমাৰ ইউনিভাৰ্চিটিতে বহুতে এপ্লাই কৰিছে জেনেৰেল কোৰ্স খুলিবৰ কাৰণে। আদাৰৱাইজ ষ্টেণ্ড এলোন B.Ed কলেজ উইল নট বি কণ্টিনিউইং। অকল B.Ed কোৰ্স যে কোনো B.Ed কলেজ নাথাকিব যদি তেওঁলোকে বেলেগ কোৰ্স খুলিব নোৱাৰে। Then it's a 2-year B.Ed will be also there. 2-year B.Ed program will be offered by the same multidisciplinary institutions offering 4-year integrated B.Ed. The 2-year B.Ed will be intended only for those who have already obtained bachelor degree in other specialist subjects. These B.Ed programs may also be replaced by suitably adapted 1-year B.Ed program will be there. It will be for those who have completed the equivalent of 4-year multidisciplinary bachelor degree. কোনোবাই 4 বছৰ মানে যদি লিবাৰেল আৰ্টৰ গ্ৰেজুৱেশ্যন কৰে, তেওঁ এবছৰীয়া B.Ed ডিগ্ৰী কৰিলে কলেজ স্কুলত কাম কৰিব পাৰিব, আৰু নহলে যদি 3 ইয়াৰ কৰে তেতিয়াহ'লে তেওঁ কৰিব লাগিব 2 বছৰীয়া B.Ed কৰিব লাগিব। বাট ইউজুৱেলি কি হ'ব যে সাধাৰণ কোৱালিফিকেশ্যন হ'ব 4-year ইন্টিগ্ৰেটেড B.Ed। 4-year ইন্টিগ্ৰেটেড B.Ed কৰি তেওঁৰ পিছত বেলেগ B.Ed নকৰাকৈ ডাইৰেক্ট স্কুলত টিচাৰ হ'ব পাৰিব। So a new apex body will be there, that will be Rashtriya Shiksha Ayog or NEC, National Education Commission. Guti শিক্ষা ব্যৱস্থাৰ মূল authority, ultimate supreme authority will be Rashtriya Shiksha Ayog or NEC, National Education Policy. This will be constituted, which will be responsible for developing, articulating, implementing, evaluating, revising and vision of education in the country as a continuous and sustained basis. Then Ministry of Human Resource Development will be redesigned as Ministry of Education. It is already done. At present, the MHRD is called as Ministry of Education. আচলতে আগতে Ministry of Education আছিলে 1986 policy মতে। 1994 it was renamed as Ministry of Human Resource Development. এতিয়া আকৌ মানে আগৰ নিচিনাকৈ it will be called as Ministry of Education. Then state level, there will be Rajya Shiksha Ayog, where chairman will be State Education Minister. These will be the apex body. National level apex bodies will be Kisuman Thakibo about National Higher Education Regulatory Authority, National Accreditation and Assessment Council, General Education Council, Higher Education Grants Council, National Council of Educational Research and Training, National Institute of Educational Planning and Administration, and National Research Foundation. This will be a new initiative. And for implementation of whole education policy, you know that there will be huge financial burden. So therefore, if you want to develop the public education system, we need to invest more public money. Therefore, 6% of GDP or gross domestic product has been suggested to spend on education. Actually, etu suggestion notun nohoy ki 1964-66 Kothari Commission has suggested for the first time 6% of GDP to be spent on education. But since then, not a single government would spend 6% of GDP on education. But at present, again, it is a matter of satisfaction that now the new national education policy has suggested to spend 6% of GDP on education. I don't know whether the government will be able to spend it. But lastly, I just want to mention some of the points, initiatives that may face hurdles, which will be very much difficult to actually overcome. This will be a multidisciplinary large institutions will be a very much challenging one. কারণ ইন্ডিয়া ভারতবর্ষৰ আমি শিক্ষা ব্যৱস্থাৰ বিষয়ে ইতিমধ্যে গম পাইছোঁ যে more than 40,000 colleges are there. A majority are stand-alone institution. And ভাৰতবৰ্ষৰ যিটো situation এই কণ্ডিশ্যনলৈ চাই to convert all institutions into multidisciplinary institution along with large institutions having 2,000 to 5,000 students will be very challenging task. Edu himan সম্ভৱ নহব তাৰ কাৰণে actually alternative model তৈয়াৰ কৰাটো it will be necessary. Transformation of all affiliating colleges into autonomous institutions. ভাৰতবৰ্ষৰ এতিয়া suppose আমি অসমৰ যদি চাওঁ অসমত we are having only 3 autonomous college. North Lakhimpur College, JB College Jorhat and Nagaon College. But all other colleges are affiliating colleges. That how within a time frame of 10 years to 15 years all the colleges can be converted to autonomous college is a very challenging task. And it will be hardly possible. মই ভাবোতো এটো অসমৰ আজি more than 600 কলেজ autonomous কৰিবলৈ ইমান সহজ কথা নহব. All over India 40,000 কলেজ autonomous কৰি দিয়াটো it will be not and so much easy task. আৰু এটো যদি strictly যদি কৰা যায় তেতিয়ালে many of the colleges will be closed down. So therefore, it is necessary the government of India, state governments, they must take appropriate strategies so that the colleges can be safe. And I mean, immediately, I mean, ভুকুতে কলটো পকাব যাতে নোৱাৰ মানে নিবিচাৰো যে immediately আমি 10 বা 12 বছৰৰ ভিতৰত আমি সকলো কলেজক অটোনমাস কৰিম এইটো নলুৱাই ভাল তাৰ ফলে আমি phase wise in a phase manner we have to convert the try to convert the affiliating colleges into autonomous colleges. ইয়াৰ কাৰণে কিছুমান strategical plan প্ৰয়োজন হ'ব আৰু সেইখিনি কৰিলে নিশ্চয় আমি সকলোবোৰ কলেজকে সেভ কৰিব পাৰিম আৰু quality standard improve কৰিব পাৰিম. So conversion of stand-alone institutions for professional education, যিবোৰ ইঞ্জিনিয়াৰিং কলেজ আছে সেইবোৰক কোৱা হৈছে মাল্টিডিসিপ্লিনাৰী কৰিবলৈ. এগ্ৰিকালচাৰ কলেজ ইউনিভাৰ্চিটিখন মাল্টিডিসিপ্লিনাৰী কৰিব লাগিব মাত্ৰ 2030 ভিতৰত it will be difficult job. Curbing commercialization. ভাৰতবৰ্ষৰ শিক্ষা ব্যৱস্থাত অলৰেডি commercialization has entered. এটো গ্লোবালাইজেশন বা ইকোনমিক লিবাৰেলাইজেশনৰ ফলত যেটো কমাৰ্শিয়েলাইজেশন হৈ আহি আছে কিন্তু বাৰে বাৰে এই কমিটিৰ ৰিপৰ্টত কোৱা হৈছে কমাৰ্শিয়েলাইজেশন উইল বি কাৰ্ভ. ভাৰতবৰ্ষৰ হায়াৰ এডুকেশ্যনৰ কমাৰ্শিয়েল উইল বি ষ্টপ উইল বি চেক কিন্তু কেনেকৈ চেক কৰিব সেই বিষয়ে কিন্তু গোটেই ৰিপৰ্টত ক্লিয়াৰ কোনো ধৰণৰ আইডিয়া দিয়া হোৱা নাই আৰু মই ভাবো ইট উইল নট পসিবল অলসো because when there will be privatization there will be corporatization of higher education there will be definitely commercialization. So commercialization stop কৰা এটাই উপায় আছে যে privatization stop কৰিব লাগিব corporatization stop কৰিব লাগিব কিন্তু ৰিপৰ্টত হেতু যেহেতু কোৱা নাই গতিকে it will be very much difficult job to curb the commercialization. Integrated B.Ed course only in multidisciplinary institutions. পাব্লিক ফাইনেন্সিং হায়াৰ এডুকেশ্যন 6% যদিও কোৱা হৈছে, বাট কেনেকৈ গভৰ্ণমেণ্টে কৰে ইট উইল বি ডিফিকাল্ট জব। চ' মেনি চাচ টাইপ অফ মানে প্ৰব্লেমছ উইল বি দেয়াৰ, বাট গভৰ্ণমেণ্ট, ইণ্ডিয়া গভৰ্ণমেণ্টে বা ষ্টেট গভৰ্ণমেণ্টে যদি এপ্ৰপ্ৰিয়েট ষ্ট্ৰেটেজি যদি গ্ৰহণ কৰে, দেন উই হোপ the new national education policy implemented, and if it is implemented in a proper way, then we hope, we accept that there will be a revolutionary change in our education system, which is a need of time. So with this word, I would like to conclude my presentation, and actually we expect for a better, and we hope that already government of India has constituted a committee for preparing the implementation strategy. Even government of Assam has also constituted a committee for preparing implementation strategy, and we hope these committees will provide a valuable suggestion and recommendation for implementation strategy, and everything will be depend on strategical plan how these suggestions will be implemented. But one thing we must remember, every one of us, all the people, educated people, we stakeholders, we must be actively involved. We have to show our concern for implementation of this national education policy. Only this, then it will be a successful one. Because you know that this is a policy only, this is not an act. Not an act. So therefore, when all the people will be spontaneously involved in this implementation policy, only then we will be successful in the proper implementation of this policy. So with this word, I would like to conclude. Actually, I have taken some more time, although most probably I have taken almost 1.5 hours for my presentation, and now we'll have a discussion. If you have any queries, any comments, observation, definitely you are welcome. So thank you everybody. Thank you once again. Please for further.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, for your informative and valuable presentation. We have come to know so many new things regarding new education policy and its implementation, especially in higher education. I think our participants are highly benefited and enlightened, and we hope you will extend your kind cooperation in our future endeavors. So now I request the participants, please, if you have any query, please ask him, and only 5 minutes are given for that. Participants সকলৰ যদি কিবা query আছে ছাৰৰ প্ৰেজেন্টেশ্যনৰ ওপৰত, তেওঁলোকক সুধিবৰ কাৰণে মই অনুৰোধ জনাইছো, আৰু আমাৰ মাত্ৰ সময় 5 মিনিটহে দিয়া আছে। I request all the participants, please, if you have any query, ask him, the resource person. ছাত্ৰীসকলৰ যদি কিবা আছে তোমালোকে সুধিব পাৰিবা ছাৰক। এটা কথা ছাৰ, মই অকমান জানিব খুজিছো, আচলতে আলোচনা অকমান কৰিব খুজিছো। এটা খুব ইম্পৰ্টেণ্ট মানে পইণ্ট এটা ইয়াত কোৱা হৈছে, আপুনি এইটো কৈছে, যথেষ্ট আপুনি ষ্ট্ৰেছ দি কথাটোৰ ওপৰত কৈছে যে যিবিলাক আমাৰ ছিংগল ষ্ট্ৰীম কলেজ আছে, বা যিবিলাক আমাৰ বহুত কলেজে আছে, আমি অসমত দেখা পাইছো যে কেৱল এটা ষ্ট্ৰীমে বহুত কলেজবিলাক চলি আছে, আৰ্টছে হওক বা চায়েন্সে হওক, এনেকে বহুত কলেজবিলাক চলি আছে। আৰু আমাৰ শিৱসাগৰতো মই দেখিছো বহুখিনি কলেজত নাম্বাৰ অফ ষ্টুডেণ্টছ এনৰলমেণ্টৰ কথা কৈছোঁ মই বহুত কম। এতিয়া এই কথাটো কিছুমান আমি এনেকুৱা দেখিছিলোঁ যে নাগৰ টিম কিছুমান আহোঁতেও তেওঁলোকক সেই কথাটো বোলে কৈছে যে এনৰলমেণ্টৰ ওপৰত বিশেষভাৱে জোৰ দিব লাগে। কিন্তু আমাৰ যিটো এতিয়া পৰিৱেশ, আমাৰ অসমৰ যিটো এটা পৰিৱেশ, সেইটো আপুনি খুব ভাল ধৰণে জানেই। তেনেকুৱা এটা পৰিৱেশত এই দিশটো যদি সঁচাকেই মানে ইমপ্লিমেণ্ট কৰিবলৈ যোৱা যায়, তেতিয়াহ'লেতো আমাৰ যথেষ্ট সমস্যাৰ সৃষ্টি হ'ব। লাষ্ট আজি এবছৰমানৰ আগত আমি দেখিছিলোঁ যে যিখন আমাৰ এতিয়া ৰানিং গভৰ্ণমেণ্ট, বিজেপি চৰকাৰ, ৰানিং গভৰ্ণমেণ্টেও কিছুমান কলেজত প্ৰায় 25-26খন মান হ'ব নেকি, একজেক্ট মই নোৱাৰিম হ'ব, তেনেকুৱা ছায়েন্স ষ্ট্ৰীম খুলিছে বহুত কলেজত, তেনেকুৱা ছায়েন্স ষ্ট্ৰীম খুলিছে, ডাবল ষ্ট্ৰীম হৈছে বহুত কলেজত। কিন্তু বাকী বহুত কলেজ এতিয়া আছে যিবিলাক কেৱল এটা ছিংগল ষ্ট্ৰীমেৰে চলি আছে। গতিকে তেনে ক্ষেত্ৰত আমাৰ সেই কলেজবিলাক তাৰমানে বন্ধ হৈ যোৱাৰ উপক্ৰম হ'ব পাৰে নেকি, যদি সেই কথাটো ইমপ্লিমেণ্ট কৰিবলৈ যায়। আৰু ষ্টেট গভৰ্ণমেণ্টে এই ক্ষেত্ৰত বিশেষভাৱে গুৰুত্ব নিদিলে, তেতিয়াহ'লে কলেজত অসমৰ হায়াৰ এডুকেশ্যনৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত যথেষ্ট মানে প্ৰত্যাহ্বানৰ সন্মুখীন হ'ব লাগিব। মাল্টি ডিচিপ্লিনাৰী যিটো কথা কোৱা হৈছে কলেজৰ কথাটো, সেই কথাটো মাল্টি ডাইমেনশ্যনেল যিটো কথা কোৱা হৈছে, সেইটো বিষয়ে আপুনি কি ভাবে, মানে আপোনাৰ কেনেকে ধৰণে আপুনি বস্তুটো চাব খুজিছে?
হয় ৰন্তু, এইটো ঠিকেই। কুৱেশ্যনটো হৈছে কি, তাৰমানে যদিহে নেশ্যনেল এডুকেশ্যন পলিচিৰ যিটো প্ৰভিজন এজ ইট ইজ যদি তেনেকৈ যদি ইমপ্লিমেণ্ট কৰিবলগীয়া হয়, তেতিয়াহ'লেতো আমাৰ এনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ যিবোৰ ছিংগল ষ্টেম ইনষ্টিটিউশ্যনছ আৰু খুব কম ষ্টুডেণ্টেৰে চলি থকা কলেজ বা ইনষ্টিটিউশ্যন, সেইবোৰ বন্ধ হৈ যাবলগীয়া বাধ্য হ'ব। সেইবোৰ অট'মেটিকেলি বন্ধ হ'ব তেতিয়া। চ' কিন্তু কথাটো হৈছে কি যে আমাৰ উদ্দেশ্য, নেশ্যনেল এডুকেশ্যন পলিচিৰ উদ্দেশ্য বা গভৰ্ণমেণ্টৰ উদ্দেশ্য বা আমাৰ কাৰো এইটো উদ্দেশ্য হ'ব নোৱাৰে যে আমি কলেজসমূহ বন্ধ কৰি দিব লাগে। কলেজসমূহ বন্ধ কৰি দিয়াটো কাৰো উদ্দেশ্য নহয়, গভৰ্ণমেণ্টেও সেইটো নিবিচাৰিব বা নেশ্যনেল এডুকেশ্যন পলিচিও এইটো বিচৰা নাই যে কলেজবোৰ বন্ধ কৰি দিয়ক, সেইটো বিচৰা নাই। কাৰণ ষ্টুডেণ্টৰ যিটো ডিমাণ্ড থাকিব হায়াৰ এডুকেশ্যনত, আৰু ডিমাণ্ডটো আমি ডেফিনেটলি বেছি ক্ৰিয়েটে কৰিব লাগিব। কিন্তু গোটেই আইডিয়াটো কেনেকুৱা হৈছে, যিহেতু কথাটো হৈছে কি যে হায়াৰ এডুকেশ্যনক আমাৰ যিটো এতিয়া কম্পাৰ্টমেণ্টেলাইজেশ্যন কৰা হৈছে, ইয়াৰ পৰা আমি ফ্ৰী কৰি ফ্লেক্সিবল কৰিব লাগিব, মাল্টি ডিচিপ্লিনাৰী কৰিব লাগিব, ষ্টুডেণ্টক বেছি অপশ্যন দিব লাগিব। আৰু ষ্টুডেণ্টক বেছি যদি অপশ্যন দিবলগীয়া হয়, তেতিয়াহ'লে ডেফিনেটলি মাল্টি ডিচিপ্লিনাৰী কৰিব লাগিব। ছিংগল ষ্ট্ৰীমত ষ্টুডেণ্টে কেতিয়াও বেছি অপশ্যন নাপাব। এখন আৰ্টছ কলেজত অকল আৰ্টছ মানে ষ্ট্ৰীম চলি আছে, কোনোবা ষ্টুডেণ্টে ভাবে মই এটা ছায়েন্সৰ ছাবজেক্ট এটা বায়'লজিও পঢ়োঁ মই ইকনমিক্সৰ লগত, তেওঁ সেই সুবিধাটো নাপাব। গতিকে কোনোবা ষ্টুডেণ্টে ভাবিছে যে মই অলপ মিউজিকো শিকোঁ, গতিকে এতিয়া মিউজিকটো আমাৰ এক্সট্ৰা কাৰিকুলাৰ হিচাপে ধৰি লোৱা হৈছে, কিন্তু এডুকেশ্যন পলিচি মতে এক্সট্ৰা কাৰিকুলাৰ নহয়, ইট ইজ অলছ' পাৰ্ট অফ মানে কাৰিকুলামৰ এটা অংশ হ'ল, এইটো এটা ছাবজেক্ট হ'ব। গতিকে যিহেতু মাল্টি ডিচিপ্লিন নহ'লে ষ্টুডেণ্টে এইটো সুবিধা নাপাব, গতিকে ইনষ্টিটিউশ্যনবোৰ মাল্টি ডিচিপ্লিন কৰিবই লাগিব। এতিয়া কৰিবই লাগিব বুলি ক'লেইতো আমি ইনষ্টিটিউশ্যনবোৰ মাল্টি ডিচিপ্লিন কৰিব নোৱাৰোঁ। বহুত কলেজ তেনেকৈ চলি আছে, তেওঁলোকক আমি যে তোমালোকে মাল্টি ডিচিপ্লিন কৰা বুলি ক'লেই, আজি শিৱসাগৰে কোনোবা এখন কলেজ অকল আৰ্টছ কলেজ চলি আছে, তেওঁলোক ক'লে তোমাৰ মাল্টি ডিচিপ্লিনাৰী কৰা। তেওঁলোকে ছায়েন্স খুলিলে, কমাৰ্চ খুলিলে, অন্যান্য খুলিলে, সম্ভৱ হ'ব জানো? ইট ইজ নট পচিবল ফৰ দেম। আৰু এইটো কথা নহয় যে তেওঁলোকে খুলিলেইতো নহ'ব, দেয়াৰ মাষ্ট বি ডিমাণ্ড অলছ'। এখন কলেজে ছায়েন্স ষ্ট্ৰীমটো খুলিলেই জানো হ'ব, তাত ছায়েন্সৰ ষ্টুডেণ্ট থাকিব লাগিব। কিন্তু মই অসমত বহুত কেইখন কলেজ দেখিছোঁ, তেওঁলোকে ছায়েন্স ষ্ট্ৰীম খুলিছে, ষ্টুডেণ্ট নাই ছায়েন্সৰ, খুব কম ষ্টুডেণ্ট, তেনেকুৱাও আছে এক্সাম্পল। গতিকে সেইকাৰণে কথাটো কৈছে যে ইনষ্টিটিউশ্যন শুড বি লাৰ্জ ইনষ্টিটিউশ্যনছ। গতিকে এতিয়া ধৰক ইমপ্লিমেণ্টেশ্যন ষ্ট্ৰেটেজি কেনেকৈ লয় মই নাজানো, বস্তুটো গভৰ্ণমেণ্টে কেনেকৈ লয়, কিন্তু হয়তো এটা সময়ত এনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ হ'ব চাগে, যদিহে আমি ইনষ্টিটিউশ্যনবোৰ লাৰ্জ ইনষ্টিটিউশ্যন আৰু মাল্টি ডিচিপ্লিনাৰী কৰিবলগীয়া হয়, তেতিয়া হয়তো নেইবাৰহুড কেইখনমান কলেজক লগাই এটা এটা কলেজ কমপ্লেক্স কৰি পেলাই এখন কলেজ যদি কৰি দিয়ে, বহুত কেইখন কলেজ লগাই, হয়তো তেতিয়া সেইটোহে আইডিয়া হ'ব। কাৰণ সেইটো আইডিয়া চাগে নেশ্যনেল এডুকেশ্যন পলিচিয়ে দিছে। কাৰণ কিহৰ কাৰণে দিয়া মই বুলি কৈছোঁ, তেওঁলোকে যিটো নাম্বাৰ অফ কলেজেছ, এক্সপেক্টেড নাম্বাৰ অফ কলেজেছ, সেইটো তেওঁলোকে দিছে মেক্সিমাম 10,000 অল অভাৰ ইণ্ডিয়া। এট প্ৰেজেণ্ট 40,000 আছে। চ' 40,000 কলেজ আছে, কিন্তু তেওঁলোকে কৈছে যে এনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ অট'নমাছ কলেজেছ নাম্বাৰ শুড বি 10,000, মিনিমাম 5,000 to 10,000। ত' 10,000 কৰিবলগীয়া হ'লে ডেফিনেটলি বহুত কলেজ হৈছে মাৰ্চ কৰি দিব লাগিব বেলেগ কলেজত। সো তেনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ কিছুমান ষ্ট্ৰেটেজি হৈছে ফিউচাৰ ল'বলগীয়া হ'ব পাৰে যদি এইবোৰ সঁচাকৈ ইমপ্লিমেণ্ট কৰিবলগীয়া হয় কিন্তু এইটো এনেকুৱা নহয় যে ইমিডিয়েটলি কৰিব পাৰিব 5-10 বছৰৰ ভিতৰত যে কৰিব পৰা বস্তু নহয় এইটো ইট ইজ এ গ্ৰেজুৱেল প্ৰচেছ 20-25 বছৰ হয়তো 30 বছৰো লাগি যাব পাৰে কিন্তু এটা সময়ত হয়তো এনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ কৰিব পৰা যাব বা এনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ হ'ব থেংক ইউ আৰু কিবা আছেনে কুৱেশ্যন
Sir, hello.
Yes.
Sir, in which year Government of India is planning to implement the new education policy?
এই বছৰে
Abo-
already started.
Already
Already
started.
implementation process has started. কিন্তু
Okay, sir.
ইমপ্লিমেণ্টেশ্যন কৰাৰ লগে লগে কিছুমান প্ৰিলিমিনাৰী প্ৰিপাৰেশ্যন লাগে সেই প্ৰিলিমিনাৰী প্ৰিপাৰেশ্যন এতিয়া ধৰক আপুনি পলিচি মানে এনেকুৱা নুবুজায় আজি যে নেশ্যনেল এডুকেশ্যন পলিচি যিমানখিনি প্ৰভিজন আছে সেইখিনি একেদিনাই তেওঁলোকে ইমপ্লিমেণ্ট কৰিব নোৱাৰে গভৰ্ণমেণ্টে ছমাহত বা এবছৰতো নোৱাৰি যে গ্ৰেজুৱেল প্ৰচেছ আমি এইটো এক্সপেক্ট কৰিব নোৱাৰোঁ বা কোনেও নকৰে যে এটা পাৰ্টিকুলাৰ ডেটৰ পৰা নেশ্যনেল এডুকেশ্যন পলিচি ইমপ্লিমেণ্ট হ'ব আৰু গোটেই প্ৰভিজনখিনি ইমপ্লিমেণ্ট হ'ব কথাটো তেনেকুৱা নহয় এইটো এটা পলিচিহে আমি কৈছোঁ যিটো এক্ট নহয় এখন এক্ট হ'লে কিন্তু এটা ইমপ্লিমেণ্টেশ্যন ডেট থাকে ধৰা আপোনাৰ ৰাইট টু এডুকেশ্যন এটা ডেট আছিলে যে এইটো 2010 10th এপ্ৰিলৰ পৰা মষ্ট প্ৰবেবলি মই যদি ভুল হোৱা নাই যে উইথ ইফেক্ট ফ্ৰম 10th এপ্ৰিল 2010 ৰাইট টু এডুকেশ্যন ৱাজ ইমপ্লিমেণ্টেড কিন্তু পলিচিটো ঠিক তেনেকুৱা বস্তু নহয় তাৰমানে এটা ডেট আমি ক'ব নোৱাৰোঁ যে এই ডেটৰ পৰা ইমপ্লিমেণ্ট হ'ব কিন্তু গভৰ্ণমেণ্ট হেজ অলৰেডি ষ্টাৰ্টেড ইমপ্লিমেণ্টেশ্যন অফ নেশ্যনেল এডুকেশ্যন পলিচি ইয়াৰ কাৰণে কি প্ৰিপাৰেশ্যন কৰিছে মই কৈছোঁ নেশ্যনেল ৰিচাৰ্চ ফাউণ্ডেশ্যন অলৰেডি এষ্টাব্লিছ কৰিব লৈছে
Yes.
Secondly, National Curriculum Framework for Secondary School Education, National Curriculum Framework for Teacher Education, এইবোৰ অলৰেডি কনচাৰ্ণ এজেঞ্চি মানে প্ৰিপেৰেশ্যন কৰি আছে টিচাৰ এডুকেশ্যনৰ যিটো কাৰিকুলাম ফ্ৰেমৱৰ্ক NCT অলৰেডি ষ্টাৰ্টেড দেয়াৰ ৱৰ্ক NCERT অলৰেডি স্কুল এডুকেশ্যনৰ নেশ্যনেল কাৰিকুলাম ফ্ৰেমৱৰ্ক ষ্টাৰ্ট কৰিছে কৰিবৰ কাৰণে অলৰেডি অল ষ্টেট গভৰ্ণমেণ্টছ তেওঁলোকে ষ্ট্ৰেটেজিকেল প্লেন প্ৰিপেয়াৰ কৰাৰ কাৰণে কমিটি কনষ্টিটিউট কৰিছে অসম গভৰ্ণমেণ্টেও কৰিছে বেলেগ গভৰ্ণমেণ্টেও কৰিছে তেওঁলোকৰ ৰিপৰ্ট ওলালে অলৰেডি হৈ যাব গোটেইখিনি অসমত স্কুল এডুকেশ্যন ইমপ্লিমেণ্টেশ্যন কৰিবৰ কাৰণে SCERT ষ্টেট কাউন্সিল অফ এডুকেশ্যন এণ্ড ৰিচাৰ্চ এণ্ড ট্ৰেইনিং প্লেন বনাই আছে এতিয়া অলৰেডি প্ৰিপেৰেশ্যন কৰি আছে গতিকে মই ভাবোঁ খুব সোনকালে এটা দুটাকৈ ইমপ্লিমেণ্ট হৈ আহি আছে আৰু হৈ আহিব আৰু আমি কিমান ইমপ্লিমেণ্ট হৈছে সেইটো অন্ততঃ ইমান সোনকালে নহয় 5 বছৰ বা 10 yearsৰ ভিতৰতে আমি পিকচাৰটো দেখা পাম যে ইমপ্লিমেণ্ট হৈছে আৰু
Sir, I have one question, sir.
Yes.
Sir, what is the main aim to making the new education policy?
Main aim to চাওঁ কথা ক'লে মই অলৰেডি কৈছোঁ মেইন এইমটো বাৰু গোটেই প্ৰথম কথা হ'ল কি যে টু ইনক্ৰিজ দ্য এক্সেচিবিলিটি অফ এডুকেশ্যন টু ইনক্ৰিজ দ্য ইকুইটি অফ এডুকেশ্যন access, equity and quality. Access, equity, quality to be enhanced. আৰু এইখিনি কৰিবৰ কাৰণে এটা উদ্দেশ্য আছে আমাৰ গোটেই শিক্ষা ব্যৱস্থাটো we have to make it a India centered education এটা ভাৰতীয় সংস্কৃতি আৰু ঐতিহ্য কেন্দ্ৰিক শিক্ষা ব্যৱস্থা তৈয়াৰ কৰা যিটো শিক্ষা ব্যৱস্থাৰ যোগেদি আমি ভাৰতীয় মানুহে নিজৰ ঐতিহ্যৰ দ্বাৰা নিজৰ সংস্কৃতিৰ দ্বাৰা নিজৰ ভাষাৰ দ্বাৰা আমি নিজৰ স্কিলবোৰ ডেভেলপ কৰি আমি বিশ্বক দেখুৱাব পাৰোঁ যে we have something we have a rich heritage আমাৰ ভাৰতবৰ্ষত আজি যে এটা আমি আমাৰ চহকী যে এটা ঐতিহ্য আমাৰ আছে সেইটো আমি বিশ্ববাসীক দেখুৱাব লাগিব সো তাৰ কাৰণে আমি বিশ্ববাসীৰ কাৰণে প্ৰয়োজন হোৱাকৈ সুইটেবল হোৱাকৈ আমি এটা শিক্ষা ব্যৱস্থা তৈয়াৰ কৰিব লাগিব which will be accepted by the developed countries and all other countries of the world তেনেকুৱা এটা শিক্ষা ব্যৱস্থা তৈয়াৰ কৰাটো হৈছে এই শিক্ষা ব্যৱস্থাৰ উদ্দেশ্য
Okay, sir.
So, thank you,
I have
sir.
one question.
Actually, respected participant, so we have no much time. So, if you have any query, please, you can contact the resource person. I request Goswami sir to please share your email address in this group, and the participants will contact you
Yes,
to
you
know.
can contact me. You can contact better. You contact me
Yeah.
through mail. My
Yeah,
mail
yeah, yeah.
ID.
Yeah.
I request the
So,
organizer. Also, tomorrow more mail ID to didiba. More Gmail ID to contact kuile. I will respond. I will
sure.
respond to the mail immediately.
Okay,
But
thank you.
mobile phone not hoy ha khali.
Okay.
Mobile phone.
Thank you.
Please contact me through mail. My
Okay,
Gmail.
thank you.
I will immediately
Thank
respond.
you. Thank you, sir, and sorry for not being proceed much. I request the participants to contact him in his email ID. So now I request Korika ma'am, head of the Department of Education, to speak a few words, and then another coordinator, Bornali Lokor ma'am, she will offer vote of thanks. So now I request Korika ma'am to speak a few words.
So good afternoon, everyone. Now we are coming towards the end of our talk. I want to thank Dr. Dulumani Goswami sir for accepting our request to be present today. I thank him for giving us his valuable time in spite of his busy schedule and give us valuable information regarding a relevant and important topic. It is very important for us as teachers and students to know about the framework of our new education system. Hope that every one of you benefited from today's talk. Now I request Barnali to give her vote of thanks. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Respected Principal, Chicago Girls College, Professor Bhutin Mishra sir, respected Vice Principal, Chicago Girls College, Dr. Rita Borgoti Baidu, distinguished speaker of this webinar, Dr. Tulumoni Goswami sir, respected teachers of Chicago Girls College and all the participants across the country digitally connected to this program. I, on behalf of the organizing committee of this webinar, would like to take this opportunity to offer my vote of thanks. First of all, I would like to offer my vote of thanks to Professor Bhutin Mishra sir, Principal Shivsagar Girls College, for his inaugural address and being constantly connected to this program. Many more thanks for his encouragement, support, and guidance to conduct this webinar. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I take this opportunity to specially express my deep regards and gratitude to our eminent resource person, Professor Dulumoni Goswami sir, who spared the valuable time from his busy schedule to grace the webinar with this extremely relevant topic, that is New Education Policy 2020. It is a thought-provoking and very interesting presentation which gives us lots of information and knowledge. Once again, thank you. Thank you so much, sir. I extend my hearty thanks to Dr. Rita Borkotaki Baido, Vice Principal, Shivsagar Girls College, Mrs. Dipsunali Priya, IQAC Coordinator, and all the esteemed teachers of Shivsagar Girls College for their constant support, motivation, and valuable suggestions. I would further like to offer my vote of thanks to all the participants for your sincere and successful participation in this webinar. I thank you all for gracing the event and sharing feedback and opinions with us. I am very grateful to all of you for your appreciation and warm welcome of this program. Last but not the least, I would like to offer my vote of thanks to Mr. Abhijit Borpujari, librarian, Shivsagar Girls College, for his technical support and valuable suggestions to make the event successful. Once again, I thank you all for being with us this afternoon. Have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you. Thank you, all of you. Over to Rontu, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, all of you. Thank you for inviting me. I would like to have special thanks to the principal, Shivsagar Girls College, the vice principal, the organizing committee coordinator, Rantu, Gorika, and all the faculty members for giving me this privilege to interact with the learned people like all of you. This is it is a very good opportunity for me. I'm really happy to present here to interact with all of you. From my side, I'd like to thank all of you for organizing this seminar and especially inviting me to interact with this webinar. Thank you once again, all of you.
So thank you.
পৰিস্থিতি ভাল হ'লে এই ডিচেম্বৰৰ ভিতৰত এবাৰ আহিবা।
চিয়'ৰ চিয়'ৰ চিয়'ৰ, মই খুব ভাল পাম যদি মানে মই ফিজিকেলি যাবলৈ পাওঁ। এতিয়া চিটুৱেশ্যনৰ কাৰণে উপায় নাই, চব
মই এনে
ভাৰ্চুৱেলি
ডিচেম্বৰত
হৈ আছে আৰু
কলেজত আছো। মই
হয় হয়
ডিচেম্বৰত
চিটুৱেশ্যন